something about a voice. I mean, when you use your voice, there's a lot of impact you can make. Just imagine that you were in a well and you had nobody to help you, and people were passing by that could help you. What's that thing that you're going to use to get the help? It's only your voice. The voice is a powerful weapon, and time again has proven that with our voices we can do so much. Hello everyone, my name is Precious Machine Care, and you're welcome to this absolutely fantastic episode of Precious Inspires right here on Sylvia Global Media Network. Today on the show, I'm going to be hanging out with my very own sister from Cameroon. She's Yvonne Leina. She's a women rights activist and a journalist, and she's so passionate about women and children that she says she has an unquenchable hunger to see a better world for these people, and she's done a lot to make the world better for women. Join me, welcome Yvonne Leina. Hello, and you're welcome to the show.
Hello, Precious. You look precious as your name, and I'm just so grateful that you have the same vision like I do. Cameroon is certainly going to turn a better page one of these days. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome, Leina, and I must say you're looking great. I love the African touch to your outfit.
Like you. Thank you.
Yeah. I would like us to start our conversation by, why do you have this passion for women? Why women and children? A lot of people are just passive about it. It doesn't matter what happens, but why do you have this passion about women?
Precious, I like to say my passion is due to the purpose for which I came to this world. I came to understand that is why I came here. That's the reason for my being here, to make the world better for women and children, and especially girl children. That is why at the very tender age, I became very particular about issues affecting girls like myself and even older women. I used to question a lot of phenomenon about concerning women when I was growing up, and I've grown up. That's the way I am. That's where the passion is coming from. It's from purpose.
Yeah. Someone said that when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable, and it's wonderful when you know your purpose and you're working in it. I like to say you're really one of those that inspired me to be more active in doing something to make the world better for women, and I'm really so grateful for that.
Wow. I'll sleep so well tonight if I could hear that. Then what else do I want to hear, Precious? To see somebody like you with such a fire. Oh my God. You don't know how you inspire me. And I told you when I heard about your show and I see the things you're doing, I am so happy. And that has always been my dream for Cameroon, that I will see girls who believe in themselves, who come out and accept themselves and do positive things. Every time I see girls like you, I'm like, wow, this is what the world should be. Because you know what? We women rule the world. I've always asked people to imagine a home without a mother. Then you understand what the world is.
Yeah. Yes. We are like everything.
Yes.
Okay. I started this show the beginning of this year, and something that I started with a topic that it has really touched my heart: domestic violence, because I've witnessed it first, and I've actually seen women that have been so much abused in front of me, and each time I saw that, there's a way it pierced my heart. So when I had this opportunity to start a broadcast, I could not think of anything else but domestic violence. And then just starting and hearing about what is happening in Cameroon now, like the recent story we heard in Bambili about a man who killed his own girlfriend, and she was even pregnant. That was like killing two lives at the same time. What do you think about that situation happening now in the 21st century, when there is so much being talked about women's liberation and everything, and somebody still goes to that extent? What do you think about that happening in Cameroon?
Precious, I just want to let you know, I know you already know, that domestic violence is a very complex issue. It has a very deep cultural trends and cannot be stopped in a system where there is no challenge. Because a woman's voice alone sometimes is insufficient to stop the violence. It takes the interference of a higher power to stop the man. And also, sometimes it happens not even because the man is wicked. He's grown up in an environment where that has been considered normal. He knows that if he does it, he's going to get away with it. And if the government does nothing to make the forces of law and order intervene and prosecute men who do such things, it is never going to stop, no matter how much preaching is done. By the way, I will say very little talks have been held in Cameroon about domestic violence. And imagine that there is no sensitization and there is no action on the side of forces of law and order to curb it. That's what makes people to go to that extent. Even if we get to the 25th century, and no matter how modern we become, and mindsets are not shifted, and cultural trends are not questioned, these things are going to continue. It's not because women are not educated. It's not because women do not know their rights. It's not because women do not have a voice. It is because those cultural trends need to be questioned. And I always say education is not a vaccine for violence against women. You could be a high court judge and go back home and be slapped by your husband if you live in a society where abuse is condoned with. Yeah.
Yeah, education is really not a vaccine. I mean, a lot of people are under the misconception that there are mostly women who are illiterate that are being violated. It could be true to an extent, but there was a story I read just last week or so about a woman who was well educated, a lawyer, but she was still being violated by her husband. It was so terrible. And because of her education, it even made her much more silent because she was ashamed. She was like, how can I, a lawyer, go through all this? And she didn't even know how to come out to face the world and tell them that, you know what, this is what I'm going through. So education is not a vaccine at all. And there are a lot of people going through this out there who don't even talk. Yeah. And
Yeah. One thing I just want to add is, I just want to say something precious, that it's not a solution not to talk. I just want all women out there to know, because you realize that you can even save your marriage by talking. You know, something, when the heat of the flame is increased against a germ, it has no choice but to die. Domestic violence is a germ. Staying quiet about it is condoning with it. And when you condone with it, it's going to continue until you do something about it. You could save your marriage. On the contrary, even if you're in Cameroon where it's a taboo to talk about such things, I bet you could talk about it and actually cause somebody to change.
Yeah, that's really true. And let me reiterate what a former guest on the show said. She said, when an incident of violence happens, you don't have to wait. You don't have to say, no, it was just a mistake. Let me wait and see. He was just maybe angry. Maybe I did this. Let me wait and see. No, she said, once it happens, you have to take action immediately, because it is that first step that you take that is going to help you. It's going to determine, because if a man begins to violate a woman, or if you're subjected to any kind of violence in your home, and you compromise, you allow it to happen, then you're like encouraging the perpetrators of this act to continue doing what they are doing. But if you take an immediate action, then they are going to know that they have their boundaries. So it's very important to take that first step.
Yeah, very, very important. Very important. Silence is never the solution.
Yeah, we've been talking about intimate partner violence, but domestic violence is not only limited to intimate partner violence, because domestic violence is any kind of violence that goes on in the home. And you've done a lot of work pertaining to breast ironing. I would like to say that personally, I did not even know about breast ironing. I mean, until I started reading your work on it. I maybe where I grew up and everything, I wasn't subjected to that, but you really raised that point. And when I started talking to people about it, I was surprised that a lot of people had even gone through it, and I didn't. So that's why it's really important when we come out to share issues. You've done a lot of work on breast ironing, that kind of sparked international media attention, and CNN did a story on it, and recently you were on the BBC for an interview. Tell me, what interest did you have? What kind of pushed you to tackle this issue of breast ironing in Cameroon?
Breast ironing is something that I learned when I was very small. Then, it's something that you see remains at the back of your mind, and something that touches your heart. I keep saying, the day I discovered breast ironing, my heart was ironed. My breast has never been ironed, but my heart was ironed, because I kept like, what is this? How can this be stopped? And then I kind of felt like the way I stopped myself from being a victim of this act was the way other women could free themselves with that, like what we're talking about, using your voice. I use my voice against my grandmother. You can't do that. Stop. If you do it, I'm going to scream. Like we say in Pidgin, I go shout. And
Yeah.
then she hushed me, and then that's how I got myself safe. And that remained as a child. It remained at the back of my mind that really, if you don't want something to happen to you, the best thing you can do is to make noise about it, because once you make noise about it, you paralyze the perpetrator. And so
Yeah.
that's how I got to become a journalist. Even I got interested that if you notice my journalism, I'm always wanting to correct something somewhere. And
Yeah.
sometimes I've been slapped by fellow colleagues sometimes for being too critical. But that's not my personality. I'm a clown, and sometimes I like playing a lot. But when I seek to write or seek to talk about professional issues, I'm always looking at how to correct things that I don't like, especially pertaining to women. And I keep saying it's not because I started gender danger because I wanted to talk about violence against women in Africa. That was the idea. But you see, the vision was like a little egg that turned into a larva and turned into a butterfly. I later on realized that the little resources I had, if I invested them in talking more about problems and doing nothing to solve the problems, then I was only adding the dark paint on the dark continent called Africa. I wanted to do something to change a particular situation, and I started like channeling my little resources towards the campaign. And I'm happy that at least it has opened up conversations. Women can now, it's no longer a secret in the community where the campaign is going on. At least mothers will go to church and hear about breast ironing. They'll go to their local cultural group like Konjangis and hear about breast ironing. They know it's not good. Then if at least a survey is done again, I guess the statistics will be able to drop a bit, and that's what we are looking for, precious. We're looking to save girls. Yes.
Well, um, that's really important because a lot of these things have been talked about, but appropriate action hasn't been taken. To find someone like you who is not just talking about them, but is taking action, that's really, really inspiring. I'd like us to talk about the recent trends, the recent trends in Cameroon. We've spoken about the recent incident in which a man butchered his own girlfriend, and just around the same time, the Ministry of Women's Empowerment was busy coming up with a new dress code law, which year has really, really, really negatively affected a lot of girls and everything. Some people think that the dress code law is on point because they claim that the way a woman dresses could lead to rape and other kinds of violence against women. What's your view? Do you really think that women are the cause of the violence that comes to them, or do you think this dress code law is on point? Do you think we need this law at this time?
Precious, I think this dress code law is really uncalled for, and it's a big disappointment to me, especially so far as the Ministry of Women's Empowerment is concerned, because they're there to protect women and not to open women to harassment. You can't solve a problem by creating an even bigger problem. I would say yes, indecent dressing is a problem, but harassment of girls is an even bigger problem. And when we look at indecent dressing, where's the problem of indecent dressing coming from? Why do girls dress indecently? They have an inner problem. You can never treat an infection without you can't treat an infection by treating just the fever. Indecent dressing is a fever. Low self-esteem is the infection, and if we don't treat that infection, we're not going to solve a problem. Why do the girls have low self-esteem? They don't have opportunities to accept themselves in the society. What does the Cameroonian society hold the woman to be? A sex tool. That's what we see on the media. If you're asking the girls on the street not to walk naked, but you still have the Catinos dancing and exposing their bodies on air, and Beyonce aired on national and public TV and private TV, the teenage girls are going to follow suit. Even mature women are going to follow suit. Fashion is a trend that everybody wants to be like the one who is highlighted. So you can't treat an infection by treating the fever. That's what the government is doing. It's uncalled for, in my opinion. And it shouldn't be done by the Ministry of Women's Empowerment, precious. That makes me laugh. It's funny and sad at the same time.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I like about this show is that when I speak with a guest, I mean they inspire me first before I can even inspire the people out there, and that's just what you're doing. I mean, just hearing you talk and everything, it's just so amazing. And let me remind our viewers that you're watching Precious Inspires right here on Sylvia Global Media Network, and I'm speaking with Yvonne Leina, who is a women's activist from Cameroon. Yvonne, we've been talking. Sorry, Lena. we've been talking.
Thank you.
We've been talking about the recent trends in Cameroon, and what you think about the Minister of Women's Empowerment's decision. Okay, now there are a lot of young girls that they do not know what to do right now because when they dress the way they want to dress, the way they think is fashionable and everything, they are being harassed by policemen on the road. So what can they do? Now that is something that the government is official. I mean, the policemen are seizing this opportunity to harass as many young girls as possible. So what can the young girls do in a situation like this?
You know, Precious, I would say that it is going to be more delicate for them to present themselves in a way that will lead to further harassment. Meanwhile, we try to solve the problem. You and I, as voices for the women in Cameroon, we're going to use the international platform that we have to raise a lot of awareness and see if there can be some kind of a wake-up call to the Ministry of Women's Empowerment that the route to solving the problem of violence against women is not victim blaming. It's never going to work. The problem of rape is not indecent dressing. The problem of rape is the mindset of the rapist. And the problem of rape in Cameroon is because perpetrators of rape are not being prosecuted. You can, excuse me, someone can rob a bank and you blame the bank for being robbed. You blame the robber, not the bank. That's what is funny. It's funny. So I don't think we really have a Ministry of Women's Empowerment in Cameroon. I don't think so. And to solve this problem, Precious, I think there is a way of setting role models. Young girls like role models. If Beyonce is still the role model of Cameroonian girls, if Katino is still the role model of Cameroonian girls, it's going to be difficult to stop. You could harass them for all you care. I know the girls know that when they go out with miniskirts, they're going to be arrested. But you know what? They are still going to go out with the miniskirts. And like most women say, you don't tell me how to dress. And when they say that, you can want to point it as a moral problem. Yes, it is a moral problem, but which is the most pertinent moral problem in Cameroon? Is it bribery and corruption or indecent dressing? And I keep saying, if all the women in Cameroon start veiling themselves from head to toe, leaving just their eyes exposed, are we going to make strides in development? I don't think so. So it's for the girls. I don't think they should expose themselves to be harassed. It's for them to just try to see how they can control the problem for the time being. But we're definitely going to do something about that, Precious. I know you wouldn't be quiet about it, and I won't be quiet about it. There's going to be a change.
That's true. I mean, what we are doing now is doing something because you never know who will get to watch this, and
yeah,
even if it's the girls themselves. And you said something very important about the Beyoncés and the Catinos. Those are people that young girls look up to today. And the irony is that Beyonce will dress the way she does, and the next minute you see her doing a women's empowerment campaign. I mean, you find her on the website as somebody who is rooting for women. I mean, it's like a paradox. It's paradoxical because you are portraying a woman as a sex object.
Yes.
And then you're still going ahead to say that you're in favor of the woman. I mean, it's time we begin to define what real values are in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely right. When women are going to be free from this media propagation that the power of a woman is an exposed breast or hips, it's going to go very far. Because if you look back, some of us are coming from that when we're teenagers, it was normal. Like, but when you start growing up and you're looking yourself, your value as a woman is all that necessary, it's all that worthwhile. You say no, then you want to go back to the generation of younger girls. You want the girls to be fashionable in a modest and respectful way. That's what you want. It doesn't make you less of a woman to appear publicly well dressed. There are so many ways of dressing beautifully without necessarily exposing your body. But I'm saying it. I go back to the government of Cameroon to say that street harassment of girls is not the solution to the problem. It is a problem and not the solution. I will not condone with that. Yeah.
And I hope the government hears this, and those policemen who are taking advantage of the situation, they should get to hear this. And the young girls themselves, it's very important that they should learn to cover themselves. I'll say that the more the world is advancing, I mean, it's like the more morals are deteriorating.
Yeah.
Mm. Because back in the day, a decent looking girl was not a girl with exposed breast and exposed everything. But this is one thing that I keep puzzling about. The men are always well dressed. The men
Exactly.
are always well
Exactly.
covered with their suit, everything. But why is it the women are always the ones being exposed? Women have to come to realize that um, um, society has made us always, that always put us at a position that is not right.
Yes, a negative. It is a cunning. It is a, how can I put it? It's a cunning way of keeping the woman at the back and then trying to
Yeah,
give the impression that is liberation. You can
yeah,
ask me to come up like an animal and you're telling me that's liberation. I need another form of liberation. I need to be allowed to speak when I want to speak. I need to be allowed to obtain the kind of education I need. I need to be allowed to have a maternity leave. I need to be allowed. Oh my God, there's so many things about liberation. It's not showing my nakedness. It's
yeah.
not. But you want to see the government has played a role in this thing and then they're turning around to harass the girls. If the public media and private media don't stop, if they do not stop to show naked girls dancing on screen, they shouldn't be harassing the girls.
Yeah,
The
sure.
media plays a very, very, very strong role in shaping the mindset of youth. We
Hmm.
have to accept that.
Yeah, the media is so powerful. I mean, in school, they taught us that the media is the fourth estate of the realm. That's it's one of the
Yes.
most important decision-making bodies. And somebody even said it's even the first, and I agree with that person that said it's the first, because the media is more powerful than any government, any than any judicial arm or parliamentary arm in any society. So the media has to set the right agenda for the women to follow. They cannot be talking about a dress code and CLTV is still showing videos with naked women. And what's the difference between the woman in the video and the woman on the street? Why don't they start by stopping those videos? They harass the girls on the street. I think the problem is even more with the woman in the video, because she's the one even inspiring the girl on the street. So they
And
should
I
start.
just want to I just want to speak to the government of Cameroon. Like we say, we don't know who's listening to us.
Yeah,
3 steps to solve the problem of indecent dressing in Cameroon. Step one, sensitization,
yeah,
mass media sensitization. Put out sensitization messages on various media outlets upholding the importance of decent dressing. Show role models in videos who are well dressed but are not indecent. Point two, prosecute perpetrators of rape.
yeah,
Point three, give more opportunities to women. The more young girls see women in positions of power, the more young girls have role models in women. I
yeah,
want to see a minister of finance in Cameroon, a woman. I want to see
mm,
a minister of territorial administration in Cameroon, a woman. We are tired of being a minister of women's empowerment to be influenced by men to do things that we do not want to do, because I know that is what is going on.
yeah,
Give the woman, the Cameroonian woman, power and see the power reflected on the streets. Government of Cameroon, stop harassing girls in the name of curbing rape through
yeah,
stopping indecent dressing. That is not the solution to the problem.
yeah. Thank you so much for that. That's really powerful. I know that it's going out there and it's going to make a difference. I'd like us to talk about this other thing when it comes to violence against women. Um, there's something that people talk about. First, I would like to say that one of the things we share in common is our faith. I mean, being Christians and still being in this fight
Mhm.
to create a better world for women. I mean, there are some people that do not seem to place the two together. It's like if you're a women's activist, you cannot be a Christian because the Bible says a woman should submit. And then how can you be an activist, and then you be a Christian? I really like us to address this issue because this is an issue that comes up time and time again when we talk about women's empowerment. Do you think that the Bible is in favor or is in disfavor of women's empowerment?
Oh my God, there's no other book that allows for women's empowerment like the Bible. I
Yeah,
like to say religion is being used as a tool by supporters of patriarchy to hold down women. So religion has been used by man to manipulate God. The Bible says it clearly that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. The Bible says women should submit to their husbands just as the church submits to Christ. So who first loved? It was Christ who first loved the church and gave his life for it, laid down his life for it. If Christ wants the church to be beautiful, washed it with his own blood. If the husband could just be 1/10 of what Christ is, I don't think we'll be having this conversation. If anyone calls himself a Christian and believes that Jesus died to save mankind through the church, and hears that statement that husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it, this argument should end here. It should really end here. Because look at what Christ did to the church. Christ beautified the church. Christ elevated the church. That is what the husband is supposed to do to the wife. And I keep saying that people go to Genesis and say, God said to the woman that her desire is going to be for her husband and he shall rule over it. And I say, in which dispensation are we living in? Are we living in the dispensation of the curse or the blessing? That was a curse. And if we have said Christ came to redeem us from the curse, we cannot be quoting the curse as something to rule us in today's generation. We should be able to accept whether we are for redemption or we are for the days of the law and the curse. We should be able to accept that. If we are for redemption, then Christ came to snatch women from the pangs of tradition, allow us to be able to shine through the blood. We are no longer seen as those who have to remain in the backyard because we are menstruating. We are no longer seen as those who remain in the backyard because we give birth to girl children. We are seen as equals because now we are spiritual Jews. And as the Bible says that word, we are all equal before God through Christ. We are joint heirs with him. There's no in the spirit realm, there's no male or female. That's what we have to accept, and there is no way we can turn around this thing. There's no way. Yeah.
You can say that again and again and again and again and again. I mean, I would like to hear that again and again. I mean, we are equal before God. The woman is not an inferior being, and people should stop using the Bible to support their bad habits, saying that God wants them to violate the woman. No, it's not right.
There is nothing that when we look at the book of Bible in Malachi, why God says he will not listen to the cry of the men. Why? Because what they've turned their back against their wives, that their prayers are an abomination to him. We should look at the. I hate when people use religion to manipulate God. Anyway, God cannot be manipulated. So we are just joking. I think God is. I know God is crying for the women of the generation. That is why he's raising women like you and I to be a voice out there in the world. That the image of Christianity has been marred by patriarchy, where people think that it is all about male dominance and women being put under the bed. It is not the case. Christianity is one of those religions that allows for women to stand equal with men. And excuse me, when the Bible said wives should submit to their husband, it's not saying women should submit to men. Wives, you submit to your husband and not to every man out there on the street. When I leave my home, I am a woman and I am an equal. I'm so equal with everybody. If I get back home, then I can talk about submission. And the Bible doesn't end there. Husbands and wives, submit ye to one another. Submit ye to one another means that it is a give and take thing. And I submit to. You can only submit to a man who is following Christ. You don't submit to somebody who is going the opposite direction. So those are things that should be set clear. If a man is slapping you, you cannot submit to him because that's not the example of Christ. You have a right to raise your voice.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. There was one day I heard a man talking at the market in Bamenga. The man was like, "Woman are nothing. Even small boy way is small so wish mamami." And that's the notion a lot of people have. And even when they get into Christianity with that notion that a woman is nothing. Thank God for you being here today. You're changing that notion. And the next time I meet somebody that says anything like that, I mean, I have now a lot of information for that person thanks to you. Okay.
Thank you so much. I want to add something that we as women in this fight have to do it with wisdom. If we get, like as I'm saying, we need to fight true, but if we, you can solve violence with violence. You know that, right?
Yeah, sure.
So there should be wisdom. There is a way. There's always a way that we can go about this thing, and not make the men feel as if we are coming to fight them. But also we can also be very docile and allow ourselves to be taken for rights. We have
Yeah.
to sit up and speak up when we need to, but we do it with wisdom, because I've realized a lot of people who are so nonchalant about the way they talk about this thing, and they can make it seem like a fight, which is really not a fight. It's a wake up call for the conscience, and not just a physical fight.
Wow.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, I like your approach to women's empowerment. You know, a lot of people in women's empowerment, they take it like men are enemies. But your approach
No.
is, you don't see the men as enemies. You see the men like, these are our partners. These are people that
Yes.
we are complementing, and we are not coming to make a war with you, but we just want you to understand who we are and our position. And I really, really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Can
Yeah.
you just lastly tell us your plans for the future?
Precious, my plans for the future. Sometimes I dream a lot. If when you converse with me with time, you realize that I want to do everything and I don't even know where to start, because yes, I want to do everything. I say a lot of things that I want to do, and my heart cry is to see people like you who can work together for a common goal for Cameroon. That's my heart cry, and that we should overlook things that are not necessary and focus on these women who are in a very difficult dragnet called culture. We can't be distracted at this material moment. We
Mm,
can't be, and so many things are sometimes perturb me and hold me back. But I just believe that if we are united force, we are going to do a lot of things. I'm just looking at Cameroon, what can be done about domestic violence. It's boiling in my heart. Breast ironing is going on. I'm looking at how can we get more girls like you, Precious. How can we get more girls like Nakinti and Komi? How can we get girls like this who come up and shout these things out and let people hear with professionalism, with wisdom? That's my heart
yeah.
cry. That's why I'm looking at the media center. I'm looking at tackling domestic violence, widowhood rituals. I'm looking at the taekwondo. You know about the taekwondo?
Yes.
Do you know that that's a tool for women's empowerment? That's a
Yes.
whole topic on its own. That's
Yes.
something else.
Yes.
That's we can talk about that for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at how we can reignite the taekwondo as a tool for women's empowerment in our community. They shouldn't only come up when it's time for politics. If a man slaps
Yeah.
his pregnant wife, the taekwondo can do something so that the next
Something.
man around will not do the same thing. That's
Hmm.
my heart cry. I have so many of these ideas. My only problem is implementation and how to put them down and how to make these ideas come to fruition and impact the lives of women. Yeah.
Hmm. One step at a time, and you certainly get there. It's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Yvonne Leina, for sticking with me through this program.
Thank you so much, Precious Inspires. And I'm so blessed to be talking with a beautiful face with a red flower behind on a Valentine's Day. That's my gift for today. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you, and it's my gift too, actually. The
Thank
day couldn't have been better. Thank you so
Wow.
much.
You see?
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Dear listeners, you can always catch Yvonne Leina at yvonneleina@gmail.com. Follow me on sylviaglobal.com. It's been nice being with you. Don't forget to tune in every week for each inspiring episode of Precious Inspires. Together, let's inspire the world. Thank you, Sylvia Global Media Network, for making this possible. Bye.